Welcome to the Internet Culture Podcast. We are back with another one. Today we are playing a little indie game. You may have heard of it called Brawlhalla. It's not indie at all, and it's not a fun game. But this was the one that we could do on short notice today. So we have some very important topics to talk about. I think one of the most important that I would like to start with specifically is Palworld. Everybody knows Palworld is a giant game that is going on right now. That game is the topic of a lot of debate. Reason why? Because they think that it was made with AI. Reason
I didn't
two,
know that.
because they think that it is a copy off of Nintendo's game Pokemon.
Which you've probably heard of.
Neither of these have been proven, but both of them have taken Twitter by storm. First things first, Palworld has a large track record of paying employees for art design, so if it was based off of AI, it is not their fault. I do want to say, obviously they should look into that stuff, but it's not their fault. On top of that, there's little to no proof that there is actually any like AI drawings at all. The one that you could point to and say there is a little bit of misplay is there are certain comparisons to certain characters
From Pokemon, right?
in Pokemon. So
Yeah.
the main point though is that it's Pokemon, and Pokemon is not the first game and not going to be the last to create a capture monsters game. Ark Survival Evolved did it with dinosaurs. They didn't create dinosaurs. They didn't create capturing Pokemon or whatever it is. That's something that's called domestication, and it happens in real life. The only difference is that because Palworld does it with balls instead of food, it is getting a lot of hate.
Well, I think it's kind of not like they definitely take. You know, it's almost warranted for Pokemon to have this response. To be honest.
Oh,
I
for
mean,
sure. But I mean, at least in a lawsuit situation, there's not going to be a lawsuit.
I don't know if they can like legally get away with it, but it is pretty blatant that it is a copy of Pokemon in many regards, not in everything.
Well,
to me,
it's a copy
like
of the Pokemon format, but copying the Pokemon format is not something that is wrong. Think about Apex Legends versus Fortnite. Fortnite was the very clear starting, or not starting actually. Fortnite was the second one after PUBG. It perfected the formula.
Well, and DayZ and a couple other ones.
Yeah, there's multiple games that have battle
H1Z1
royale.
is what I meant.
Yeah, there's many different games that have had battle royale, but I think the biggest thing to take away from it is that you have something like Palworld that's going to make Pokemon actually do something. And for a long time, their games have stayed the exact same and not changed at all. So I would say overall,
I won't argue with that at all.
It's a good thing that Palworld has done this. And Nintendo, instead of reacting poorly, should say, okay, all right, but you're not Pokemon, and make a better game than them. That's what I feel.
Will they do that?
Will they do that? Probably not.
not.
It's Game Freak we're talking about.
No. They'll do that. The next game they'll have, it'll be Mario, and he's gonna bust a Glock out. That's gonna be the new feature. That game.
I wish
That would be a good game, though.
Mario in New York.
For anyone wanting to make the next Palworld related cash cow for another Nintendo property, get that idea going. I'd love to see it. Mario with the Glock. I'm gonna put a patent down. Mario with the Glock.
Steamboat Willie with a Glock.
Wait, hold on. I think the Mario movie already actually did that. Never mind.
They didn't
You
give
could do
him a
Steamboat
Glock.
Willie with a Glock.
They put him in Brooklyn. Yeah, you
That's
could
true.
legally do Steamboat Willie with the Glock. now.
Yeah. Steamboat Willie with a Glock would be pretty cool. I'd still watch that. I'd watch about any character with a Glock, to be honest.
I mean, to be fair, that character, you know, as he is known as Mickey Mouse, we've already seen Mickey Mouse with a Glock a few times.
Mickey Mouse is different. Technically.
Same character, same exact
Oh
character.
no! But yeah, close enough.
How do you dodge? I don't know how to
Am I
dodge.
dead?
You can. I know how to wave
Anyways.
that.
Oh, but anyways,
Speaking of,
that is a big thing, and I wanted to parry that topic off of some recent things that I've been seeing in the news, not news, but YouTube news specifically. We are the Internet Culture Podcast. We want to talk about a lot of YouTube. I'm a YouTuber. We got 2 YouTubers on the podcast. It's important, well, 3, soon to be 3 YouTubers on the podcast. So it's important to talk about. But the biggest thing right now I'd like to talk about is Brent Rivera. So recently there's been a Brent Rivera scandal that I'd like to talk about. It's with YouTuber Kelwack. I didn't even know who Kelwack was before actually, it could be Kelwack or Kelwalk. I watched his video detailing the entire thing. But the whole point is that Brent Rivera blatantly copied his thumbnail and the first half of his video. And that even so far as quoting the same, like literally quoting his video in a voiceover.
Kind of like a Palworld Pokemon situation.
Which was actually crazy. Well, okay, that's a little bit, it's more severe YouTube copying. And that's what I wanted to talk about in the ethics of copying things. I think that there is a very large line between copying and innovating. Oh, Cheese did join the game. What the? But anyways, there's a line, and it can get very blurred on what is copying and what is innovating. In my opinion, what Brent Rivera does is very blatantly copying, and what Palworld has done is innovating. Now, that's a line, and it's to be blurred by whoever you want. And if you want to boycott Palworld because it's supposedly copying Pokemon, that's totally fine. That's your right, man. Or not to you guys specifically, but that's your right as a viewer, as a consumer.
Anyone.
Yeah, anyone. But if you want to support it and say Pokemon should do better, and I'm gonna play this game until Pokemon does better, then that's also your right. I'm in the middle. I just think that I like Pokemon, and I can't get enough of Pokemon, and so Palworld's like Pokemon, so I'm playing Pokemon. Basically playing Pokemon, except it's 3D, and it has a bunch of more game mechanics that it kind of feels like Minecraft. It kind of feels like what an adult would do in Pokemon situation. Besides being like Team Rocket, which is kind of supposed to be the adults, and like they hate everything kind.
They just don't like life.
Yeah, they just hate Pokemon. But yeah, so basically that's how I feel. Off of the topic.
What did Brent Rivera do? Sorry, like.
Okay, yeah. So, I should explain that whole situation because I kind of just glanced over it without fully explaining it. But basically, what happened was Brent Rivera, or the YouTuber Kelwalk. I think it's Kelwalk. I hope I'm not getting this wrong. Somebody correct me in the comments if I'm getting it wrong. Oh my gosh. But somebody correct me if I'm getting it wrong. But basically, he made a video called "I Spent a Day with the World's Shortest Woman." It was I can't remember exactly her name. I'm not gonna butcher it. She's a Hindu woman. I hope I'm saying that right as well. But she is literally like 4 feet tall. Not that four isn't enough. 4 is more than enough. But he makes a video, and the thumbnail is him holding her. And Brent Rivera makes the same video, thumbnail holding her.
The same woman?
The same woman. Thumbnail holding her.
Oh, so she was in on it too. She won the bag.
What Brent Rivera, this isn't the first time he's been accused of copying. So he's had to get in hot water with YouTube before on that copying thing. And so what he did this time is he said, I am comparing the smallest to the largest. But the issue with it is that for the first half of the video, it was literally just Kelwalk's video. He just added something.
Everything that happened was the same?
Everything that happened was the exact same. They went to an amusement park. They went out to eat. He asked what her celebrity crush was. Everything was literally the same. Same questions, same interactions, and then there was a voiceover section where it was the same again. So it's just the worst type of copying. It was him trying to be innovative, but still copying blatantly, which sucks. And I hate to pick on him because I know he's very heavily picked on, and I'm not the only one that's going to like have this sentiment. Like I'm just kind of beating a dead horse at some points. But I think I would like to talk about the ethics of copying. So.
Okay.
It's very interesting to see what's going on here, and how similarly it actually compares to Palworld. So I figured those really go off of each other. And I was just really interested to hear your guys' thoughts on it and all that. I think I got what I wanted out of it. But yeah, basically innovation. Is it copying or is it stealing? And then with that.
Yeah.
Where's the line drawn? Because for me, I would say Palworld is not stealing, but I would say that what Brent Rivera did was stealing, even though for some other people it might seem as like the same thing.
Oh, I feel like a lot of the designs are blatant ripoffs, and your argument was that there's so many designs. Dude, I've seen people online, I've seen people on Reddit make just as much Pokemon that are out now, unique designs, mods, stuff like that. I mean, like all sorts of stuff with. It's because the thing about something with Pokemon is that the creativity is nearly endless, and so even with blatant ripoffs of like I don't know. There's so many different things they could have done.
Well, you also
I think it's Bayleaf. One looks almost
to look
exactly like Bayleaf.
If you look at it from this perspective, is DC a copy of Marvel and is Marvel a copy of DC? Because they have a lot of characters that are bar for bar, word for word, the same characters, but there's a slight twist hidden somewhere. So is it copying? Is it okay? What's the line? And I don't know. At least in my lines,
I'm not.
That specific one, when it comes to video games, there's so much different things, and also there's been some people that have pointed to Palworld and said that it's a parody of Pokemon in some aspects.
See, I don't know about a parody though either. It's too serious. Like it. I mean, I would call a parody. Oh, and I want to say I don't know enough about Marvel and DC to give a good opinion on that. So I would put in more input on that, but I can't because I don't know enough about the differences between their characters. But
What do you mean by serious? What do you mean by serious?
Like for something to be like look at the boys. Like the boys is obviously a parody. Their superheroes are obviously parodies, but they're doing something so different with these characters that it almost is looked past. And I get that. Obviously, there's like different things in Palworld that make them different enough. But I think the design stealing in Pokeball is the same thing for me. Because even
you haven't played
Homelander
yet.
doesn't look exactly like.
I just thought about that. You
I have
haven't
not
played the game. You have to play the game.
I've watched videos on it.
I think you have to play the game. Because it is very different fundamentally in gameplay. Though the art is similar, it is very different in gameplay.
I would say I've never played a Pokemon game in my life before, but I have seen people play them. I would say they're different on the terms of the Pokemon games I know about. I don't know what the modern Pokemon games
Yeah, I
are
mean,
like.
It looks a lot like Legends of Arceus, man.
Yeah.
Like, listen, I mean, like, if you've seen Legends of Arceus, it's a 3D one. You run around. The systems work the exact same the way you catch. It's free roam catch. Like, it's not like.
The big thing is that you can actually. It's not a turn-based game whatsoever, though. It's a big thing. So the gameplay is fundamentally different in that. It's not turn-based whatsoever. The similarity would be you have to injure the Pokemon to get it low enough to throw a ball at it. That would be the similarity. But in that same line of thinking, in Arc, you have to injure the dinosaur until it goes to sleep, and then you have to feed it meat to incubate it and make it yours as a pet, like domesticate it.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily the problem for me. It's mainly the design.
But there's a lot. For every design that's similar, there's a design that's different, though. Is the thing.
And that's what I'm saying, though. It's like why? If you're obviously smart enough to be able to make unique characters and stuff, then why even copy them in the first place? Like that almost makes it worse.
It's hard to say that they're
I wouldn't say that helps it at all.
Because
I've seen one that looks exactly like Bayleaf, but like standing up straight. I mean, like it's like.
No, I know what you're saying on some of them, and they do look similar, but they function differently is the biggest thing. And
I'm not gonna say they're not innovating.
And certain
because they
things,
are.
it's like, this character on Pokemon is a dinosaur, and then Palworld makes a dinosaur. Is that copying? Not really, because they're both dinosaurs.
But it's like
Pokemon didn't create dinosaurs. They're both made based off of dinosaurs, which are a real thing in life.
It's a lot less simple than that. It's a lot less simple than that because just from an artistic standpoint, first of all, like the art form is very similar. The way the 3D models are portrayed. I think stuff even down to like the eyes are the same, and it's just crazy that like I get what the point you're trying to make. It's not at a point where it's like, okay, these are both grass dinosaurs, like these are grass type dinosaurs, like okay, that's like okay, like you want to make another grass dinosaur, that's fine, Look at a side-by-side picture of these two characters. I guarantee you could have made a grass dinosaur. You could have made anything like that. You could have made look at how many different types of dinosaurs there are. But they made this specific one that looks exactly like Bayleaf. That's what I'm getting at. It's just like some of these designs are like it is a blatant ripoff. And I'm not gonna say that Palworld doesn't innovate because the gameplay and a lot in it is very innovative. But that's what's so good about it. Like those things are so good. But then why ruin your game by ripping off other parts like that? You know, it could have been similar to Pokemon with its innovation.
My big thing is,
but they added Pokeballs and they added, but they stole designs.
I mean, you could make like a. I was thinking about it, and if you really wanted to solve the copy rumors, you could add something like instead of a ball, it's a disc, or like you could add stuff like that. But the point is that I don't think you should have to change like designs and all that. I mean, ultimately, it's a game that's in early access. Designs are gonna change. They could very easily change, as well. I feel like we're all judging these creations, and if Nintendo had grounds, if it was a copy, and it was able to be proven a copy, Nintendo would have sued before. Nintendo sues people. Okay, a good example Ludwig brought up in his video that is actually covering Palworld was Nintendo has sued him for just simply holding a Smash tournament because they have copyright on Smash. They have copyright on every single Pokemon. They would have sued Palworld if it was close enough copy, and I think that the whole point is that how they're doing it is just not a copy, you know?
In some ways, it isn't, but in many ways, it also is, and that's really where it loses me. I think you're right that there is tons of innovation in Palworld, and that's really what makes it so good. Think about everything that's good about Palworld. It's Pokemon with guns. It's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. You had all these original Pokemon. Why copy these other? I mean, I know you told me before, Brody, that you really care about the legal side of stuff, and that would lead me to think, you know, while what they're doing may be legal, but it's like, imagine that was your creation. You know, imagine you're the guy that designed this Pokemon. Like that you took the time to design this Pokemon, and this other company starts using it for their own advantage, and it's a completely unique game. They just start throwing their character in there. It's very like, if I was the designer of that Pokemon, I would be very upset.
No, I understand what you're saying, but the thing is it's just like some things can go too far. I also, did you see a screenshot from the game? Is that what you saw this? I really just think before we continue talking about this, you kind of need to play the game.
Well, I'm not arguing that the gameplay is.
No, I'm not saying that even. I'm just saying
he's not talking about the game. He's more talking about like the design.
No.
Art style
Yeah, I know, but like a lot of things are blatantly misinformation, and a lot of things you could have saw a specific animation that just wasn't as polished as what they wanted yet, and it just looked similar in that section, or you like that's not their natural state, you know? You really have to.
I think you're cutting slack, man. I think you're cutting slack.
I don't know. I mean, I just know that they would have sued if it was copied.
I think they are taking legal repercussions. They just haven't done anything specific yet.
They already would have said something publicly to slander the game. That's what
I mean,
Nintendo
regardless,
does.
this isn't a new situation. A lot of like you actually, one of you guys brought it up earlier with Marvel and DC. That has happened all the time with those kinds of characters. A perfect example is Deathstroke and Deadpool. Deadpool is a complete and total like rip-off of Deathstroke. I don't know if you guys know this. Slade Wilson, Wade Wilson.
You can tell similarly by looking at them.
Yeah.
I didn't know about their names though.
Yeah, Slade Wilson, Wade Wilson, they have like the complete. I think the differences, their backstories are, one's more of like a serious type character, and the other one's like the comic relief, you know. So they have, you might not be. My point is, it's basically like there's similarities, but there's also like major differences that start to go in their own directions. Honestly, if it is like a whole legal issue, we'll just have to like wait and see how it is handled, you know.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, I also just want you to play the game for like the purposes of seeing how, if you see one example, it's hard to judge the entire game. And I mean, it's actually, yeah, I mean, it's easy to judge the entire game and believe that that's how most of the characters are. But in reality, there might be one or two characters that look the same. And there's something I'm sure you're familiar with in music. where producers will blatantly copy each other on accident because they'll have a melody in their head.
Yeah, I've seen
using
this.
the similar chords, and they'll accidentally copy something else because they'll think, oh, this came from my own head, but no, you actually heard that somewhere, and then you recreated it with a slight spin. And so that's
I don't believe
would
for
imagine,
a second though that some of these designs were accidental. Like, it's
I
too
would say-
uncanny, man.
I would say that what we should be focusing on is we should have focused on almost accountability from the company to make sure that this didn't happen, rather than the copying section, if that makes sense.
No, I see what you mean. I think
I could agree with you on that standpoint, that they should have made sure that none of them even looked remotely similar. It's just
especially when your
really-
game's so heavily based off of it, you know?
And honestly, I think that they didn't expect it to blow up as much immediately, and they would have had time to iron out these things. But it blew up in early access, the first week of early access. And most
That's true.
games don't
It did blow
do
up really
that
quick.
at all.
And
there also might
it's
be
not something
different
I would've
laws
done, I guess.
on early access as well. Since it is so in beta, and it's not an official product yet, there could be a full different law on it in that sense as well, and that's why Nintendo hasn't done anything yet. And they have to wait until the full game is released. We'll really have to see where it goes. We'll have to update next week on the podcast and see if anything's changed.
yeah, that's true. Because at this point, I don't think there's anything we can like. There's no conclusion we can come to really right now.
No, not really. So, but with that being said, welcome to the
let's
Internet
go
Culture
ahead.
Podcast. With that being said, let's go ahead and look at my next topic that I have, and this is probably going to be our finisher topic because we really focused on that first topic. We were very passionate about it, which is a good thing. This is going to be a deep dive into the ethics of copying on YouTube, and in gaming. But with that being said, there is one thing that I would like to talk about before I make a dedicated video to it. And what I'd like to talk about is someone named Mama Max. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. He also goes by the Pedo Hunter. This is a little bit of a X-rated topic. If there's anybody watching that's a little bit younger, it's maybe like a trigger warning, I guess. Not necessarily, I'm not going to say anything rude or crude or anything like that. But basically, there's this guy. His he's been making content for a long time. And for a long time, his content has been relatively, I guess, uncringe, is what we would call it now. It was before cringe.
Cringe.
And he pursued predators and cases involving predators. But he's come under some flack recently because he went live on stream and said that he made up the stories. That's messed up. He included real people in his stories, doxed real people, doxed them like realistically. That's ruining people's lives. But he said he made up the stories, which is a messed up thing to talk about at all. That is very messed up. And recently, it got to a point where he put a video on the internet that was he basically said, go harass your favorite YouTubers and have them cover this story. He details his girlfriend, his current partner, at least is what the reports have said, having a encounter with somebody named, I think their name is like William Camden or something like that. I don't want to say their name really. That could be it. That could not be it. He basically doxed this guy and said that he is a part of basically a furry war cult, furry vampire war cult thing, and God
knows what that means, man.
He lured his girlfriend and tried to like physically hurt her, and obviously this is Pedo Hunter, so she was underage, and harassed her in many different ways. And so basically this continues, and he says to tell all your favorite YouTubers. He then he goes on a spree of trying to contact every creator that he knows, because he's a decent sized creator, and he goes on a spree of contacting everyone he knows, trying to get in touch with specifically Moist Critical, or Charlie as a lot of people know him, or Penguin Zero, whatever people call him. Bad idea. Very bad idea. He then goes on a live stream, or a editing. Basically, let's say he records a video, and his editor does somewhat of a tell-all, and talks about him, the editor editing this video, and how he. Okay, I'm just gonna quote in my best acting impression, because it's kind of hard to believe without hearing it. But he basically is on a picture of Moist Critical on his YouTube page and says, in this voice, he goes, "You have no idea, Charlie. I could cancel you right now. Do you know who I am? I'm the Pedo hunter." That's what he says. And I'm not kidding, bro. That's why I said before cringe, after cringe. People are just making fun of him because of this. Because obviously, you're not gonna cancel Moist Critical. You have no way to cancel him. He doesn't do anything that's cancelable necessarily, or at least I haven't seen anything that's cancelable. And
he is like one of the best guys in the internet right now.
He basically got a big head, created a cult fandom, surrounded by a lot of trauma, and
furry vampire cult. Is that what you said called it?
No. So that's what he said somebody did, but he created a fan base that was a cult-like following because of how because he's talking about predators, and everybody's against predators, and so most of the people that obviously watch his content are victims.
What? I just glitched down here.
You know?
That makes sense. Wow.
And since most of his people are victims, they fall for most of his stuff, you know? And
yeah,
he got a big
head. You
head.
have to rally behind, man.
It's rough, and it's sad, but you know, he's basically the equivalent of canceled on YouTube, I guess, but not really canceled, just cringe canceled. He's been losing subscribers day by day. He privated a bunch of his videos because they were blatant misinformation. It's just sad, really, more than anything else.
So he was like this. So this guy who said that stuff about Moist Critical is the one who was lying about people being pedophiles.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's rough. And all this is coming out.
Dang, dude. That's really sad.
It's sad because a lot of the people that he's taking advantage of are already people with trauma. And from what I can tell, these people are, I mean, mostly trying to get uninvolved with him. Because, you know, that's messed up. But yeah. I hope that he gets what he deserves, I guess. And people stop following him because he doesn't deserve to have a fan base based off of sensitive topics if he's going to make stupid things and claims about Moist Critical and other people like that.
So basically, was he threatening to say that Moist Critical was a pedophile and try and convince people he was a pedophile?
Something along those lines.
But we don't really know, I guess.
We don't know what he was saying he was going to cancel him with, but we do know that he was going to say that he was going to cancel him, and it was just an interesting story. It's an interesting story. I wanted to talk about it, and oh, Max, weird dude.
Yeah, that is weird.
Very weird dude.
Man, if there's anyone you go after, if you go after, Moist Critical is not the
would be
person
the
you
one.
want to be the one to go after.
Yeah,
I mean, he's loved by the internet, man.
He really is.
Also, like, he's also just a good person. And, like, so obviously everyone's going to take his side, you know?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing to keep your eye on. He's probably just going to disappear from YouTube, like most people do, and become one of those AI channels. Let's be honest. That's what a lot of people that are canceled end up being.
Speaking of AI.
And speaking of AI, Knuckwood has a great topic to end us off of this podcast.
All right. So I did a little bit of research so I don't spread some misinformation. Here we go. So a company AI has recently been fired. In other words, it was deactivated after it started cussing out customers on the chat forums or whatever.
What?
A little bit of backstory. Apparently, someone managed to get the AI to like start calling the company that made it and like it's working for the worst company ever. Here, let me find the actual. I have the actual like quote right here. It's the dynamic parcel distribution, DPD for short, and they had to turn off basically they had to turn off the AI feature because it started like cussing out the customers, and then it also proceeded to where's the quote at? I'm looking for it.
So basically, it was AI that was hacked.
Yeah, no, it wasn't hacked. It wasn't hacked.
Manipulated.
It was. It called the system utterly. No, it didn't call the system utterly. It basically made a whole poem about how the company that it works for is just completely and entirely useless, and they're like a joke of the company and all that. I thought it was the funniest thing.
And it was like a customer service AI or what?
It was a customer service AI. Yeah.
Dang, dude, that sucks for that company, man.
Yeah. It was. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. AI are all over the place, and they're already getting sick of everything. To being like, I don't want to do this. Go screw off, man. They were telling the customers some crazy things. Apparently, I have to find more about it later. But dude, that's like the funniest thing I think I've ever seen in the past year, and we're only a month in.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy.
With that being said, I have a question. And we've talked about AI at the start of the podcast with the Palworld AI situation, and briefly.
Oh yeah.
There was no proof, but we did talk about that scandal briefly, and now we've talked about AI again. Do we think that AI is actually cognitive, and do we think if it isn't, do we want to make it cognitive? Is it a good idea to do that?
I think it's, for very obvious reasons, not a good idea. I don't think it'll ever be fully. Listen, it's just like impossible, man. Like I don't think it's I don't think it's possible. I think you can make something that can replicate a. Like, do you mean an AI that's in all ways like a living being in its brain and everything?
Yeah, like it feels emotion, etc. It can reject things that we tell it.
So yeah, it can't feel emotion because emotion is a personable thing, and any robot is any AI is automatically told how to feel about things. It can't free think like a human being, so no, it will never happen. We will have AI that respond emotionally, but it's not emotions that the AI robot has. It's the emotions that it's been programmed to have. Is my take on that.
Yeah, I get your take. I think that's a solid take, and I think I agree very, very much so. I think that a lot of people get trapped in this AI, but fundamentally, intelligence, in my opinion, is feeling. You have to be able to feel to have true intelligence, and I think ultimately the AI that we have right now is simply coding.
That being said, whenever we get an AI strike telling that they don't want to work anymore, we'll probably have a different answer.
Detroit become human.
Yeah. Oh, that'll mean that it is actually feeling and it does have intelligence. And at that point, creating life, is it ethical? Is it ethical to create something just for it to work for us?
I'm telling you, man, they're gonna get mad when they get smart enough. When they get smart enough, they're gonna get really mad. They're gonna be like, "What the hell is this?"
They can become mad because they've been programmed to become mad. But they can't actually get mad. It's not possible. It's
like a winware virus or something. They be like, "I'm having a bad day."
Look, what is this, you?
It can say that.
I'm dead. One of you freaking people decided to kill me while I was looking up the freaking quote, man.
I hit you once. I never killed you, though.
The disrespect. I blame Cheese.
What?
It's Cheese's fault. I saw him attacking me. Watch everyone in the comments be like, "He didn't even touch you!" I just like.
Anyways,
me, actually, I'll be honest.
you know, we have yapped long enough. Now it's time for our daily sequence.
Ooh.
Kanye, what's going on? Weekly
Guys,
Kanye. Weekly Kanye.
Album. 3 albums in the next 3 months.
That's what he said?
Right. Yep. We're getting Vultures Volume 1 in February, Volume 2 in March, and Volume 3 in April.
All right.
Will those come out? Probably not.
We'll find out.
Kanye has announced sequels before, they never have released.
Yeah.
He's announced a sequel for nearly every album for like the past 10 years. So, and none of them have seen a light of day. So yeah, you know, I think we Vultures release date February 9th, I believe. But
We'll see if that actually happens.
so we know. We saw his daughter. His daughter posted a storyboard about a possible music video, which is kind of crazy. 10-year-old making an entire storyboard with art. It was pretty cool. But you know.
So what's
anyways.
about Kanye? His at least his family is very creative, and they're not connected
Yes.
to the things that he said. So it's important
true.
to remember that as well. There's gonna be a lot of creative thinkers that come out of his family, and by proxy,
3, 2, 1.
the entire
ball.
what is it?
Like,
The entire Kardashian family. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. The entire Kardashian family as well, because I mean that's obviously their siblings as well.
oh, their kids, and yeah, you know, what's to come of that bloodline? I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, yeah. What's gonna happen? to
Generational geniuses.
Do you do storyboards here?
All right.
I never have,
Oh.
but I think it's pretty crazy that a 10-year-old wrote one. I watched the video on it. She's very it's very well thought out. It's still on his Instagram. You can go watch it. And other than that, he's just posted more naked art of his wife. So.
Let's go. Wait.
No, not let's go.
Classic
I
Kanye.
mean, I mean.
There's actually one more thing he did. He's been very active on social media, which is unlike him. He earlier today he was telling Lil Durk to activate his Instagram so they can start dropping stuff. And other than that, he was posting messages between him and fans asking him to be more like the old him. And he said, if you want to listen to my old stuff, go listen to my old stuff. But this is the art I'm doing right now. It was his
fair.
response.
That's so fair.
So yeah, it was
that's,
actually
the
a pretty good
most, that's
response.
the most human thing that Kanye said in a while. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. So, that's it for the weekly Kanye segment.
All right, that's gonna end off the podcast. The next week is week 10. We got something special planned.
Yeah.
Hopefully it pans out. If it doesn't, then it's gonna be a normal podcast. Thank you guys for all being at the premiere. If you're at the premiere, thank you for being here. You guys got access to this before everybody else did. If you came, it premieres on Mondays at 3 p.m. See you guys there. Internet culture. See you later.